Today, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how this boring business makes millions of dollars every single year. Obviously, right now, I'm in front of a gas station. People think the gas stations make money from gas, but you'd be surprised to find out how they really make all their money. I'm holding absolutely nothing back in this video. I'm gonna give you all the details that you need to figure out if this is a good investment for you. After we break everything down, I'm gonna give you guys a Ray Money score. I'm gonna tell you if I would buy this business or not, and exactly why. Let's take a quick tour, and I'm gonna show you guys if this is actually making money or not. First, I'm gonna show you guys the gas pumps, the most important money maker here. People usually think that the gas is where all the money is made. Turns out you only make about 5 or 10 cents per gallon. So most of that money just goes back to paying for people to show up. And so the margins are super low here. Now we're actually inside the gas station. This is where the real money is made. As you guys can see, there's tons of items in here. Everything down to the penny. This might be bought for $1 and sold for $1.20. That's where all the markup is made. On average, gas stations are doing 20 to 30% markup on every item within the convenience store. So that means if you're doing $50K a month revenue, you're doing $10,000 every month in profit just from this little store. And what's super quick, let's just check out the other ways that you can make money with these gas stations. Gas in the convenience store is the money maker, but if you really have the space, upgrade your lot with food, car wash, restaurants, and mechanic spots. In business, this is what we call an upsell. This is a way for you to bring in more opportunity for more customers and generate extra cash flow. These are the things that set your gas station apart, which allow more customers to want to come in. Someone could come here for food, but end up buying gas or snacks or getting their oil changed. Let's get back to the desk and break down these numbers. So now we're back at the desk. I'm gonna give you guys the numbers. I know there's a lot of influencers out there in the same space, making videos, giving you guys a lot of fluff. They don't give tactical numbers on how to profitably buy a business, and I'm on a mission to actually change that and help you guys buy your first company. So let's not waste any more time here. Let's get down to the numbers. And don't forget, at the end, I'm gonna give you a Ray Money score, which is gonna tell you if I'd actually buy this business or not, and why. So the first thing we're gonna do to actually buy a business is go on to bizbuysell.com. BizBuySell is a directory with tons of businesses where you can look up exactly what type of company in your area you'd like to purchase. Once I get on BizBuySell and I have some criteria for what I'm actually looking for, I start to do my quick scan process. The first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna look for the revenue. The revenue is the total amount of cash that the company brings in annually. After that, I'm gonna look for profit. So usually that's EBITDA within a business, but for this listing, they only have cash flow. So we're gonna consider the cash flow to be the profit. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and divide the cash flow by the gross revenue. So we have 380,000 divided by 3.2 million. All right, that leaves us with a profit margin of 11.87%. I want to do a little bit of research on the location and the curb appeal. I know that this business is in West Virginia. I'm willing to buy companies in that area. And I also want to scan through the listing to see if they mention anything about the team who operates the company. So based off the information that we have here, it looks like I would need to reach out to the broker to find out who's actually operating this company and if there's a management team in place. I also like to call that tier 2 management. So not the owner, but the layer under him. As you can see here, I also want to find out the age of the business. If I look, I can see here that the business was established in 2012. So 2012, it's now 2025. The business is over a decade old. I love to find businesses that have over a decade of history. Think about it like this. If you want to go and buy a business, why would you want to buy something that hasn't proven itself? Me personally, I like to buy businesses that have been around for decades. I'm always gonna keep reminding you guys about the Lindy effect. The longer that it's been around, the longer it's gonna stay around. If this business has over a decade of history and financial data, that de-risks the total profile of the business. I can bet that when I buy these businesses, which I like to buy them at 2, 3, or 4 times their annual profit, and this tells me that the chances to be able to pay off the debt are gonna be very high. Think about it. This business has been around for decades, and you only paid 2 or 3 times the annual profit to be able to buy the company. That means if you don't take any money out of the business, you can pay off all the debt in the next 2, 3, or 4 years. So my bet is if this business has been around for decades, I can at least manage it properly for the next few years. So lastly, we're gonna look at the asking price and then the asking multiple. So to find the asking price, we can see here that it's already listed about $900,000. And then again, we're using cash flow as EBITDA. So we take 900,000 and we divide it by 380,000. So we're gonna round up 900K divided by 380K. If you want to keep it short, just knock the zeros off. 900 divided by 380, we have our numbers. So they're asking for a 2.3x. For me, again, when I'm looking at a business, I like to buy businesses below a 5x multiple. The lower multiple, the better the price. While this business doesn't have the best margins, I like to see businesses with 20% or better margins. It does have a great asking price. If we can confirm that 380,000 is the annual profit, then buying this business means we could pay everything off within 2.5 years. So next, based off the business that we went and toured, we're gonna look at some aerial footage to see what makes this a good opportunity. As you can see here, this street is traffic heavy. All the
way around this bend is full of cars. This location most likely has thousands of cars driving past it every single day. And from another view, you can see there's literally zero competition because this location is hidden deep in the hills, and it's great for customers who absolutely need gas and have nowhere else to go. When you have a location like this, customers have no choice but to stop at your gas station. All right, so next we're gonna talk about some of the sales and marketing strategies specifically for this model. For most brick and mortar businesses, it's always gonna be about the search engine optimization and the good reviews. So as you can see here, I got a big reminder for Google. 5-star reviews are gonna allow more people to wanna come and stop at your location. And finding a good marketer who understands search engine optimization is gonna help you take your business to the next level. In every business opportunity, you should try to be as creative as possible. So on the screen, I have an example here of a gas station that I think that they took it to the absolute max. This is a Buc-ee's, which is a car wash. As you can see here, solar panels over the parking lot. They've got the giant grocery store and just tons of space and tons of curb appeal. This is a place that draws attention. This is a place where people want to go almost as if it's a amusement park. This is somewhere that has become a tourist attraction, even though it's just a gas station, because someone had the creative idea to take a gas station and say, how can we 10x this? How can we make it the best gas station that America has ever seen? So now I'm going to talk about a few ways that I would optimize a gas station. I want to focus on price. And like I said, the majority of money is made from the convenience stores. That's where the high profit margins are. What I like to do for a majority of my companies is I like to increase price by 1.5% every single quarter. The reason for this is because you always want to be slightly ahead of inflation, and most customers will never notice a single-digit annual increase in price. So that means anything between 1% and 9%, most customers will not feel, complain, or talk about. So for me personally, every quarter, I like to raise prices by 1.5%. That's a total of 6% growth annually compared to inflation, which is usually around 2 to 3%, which means you're going to profit another 3% at the end of the day. Next, and this is absolutely paramount, is I would want to have good software management for the convenience store and the gas. Remember, data is king. Track what sells and sell only what leaves the shelves. A lot of great softwares also can help you implement competitive pricing. You can go and look at what the competition has priced between what's in the convenience store and what's at the gas station, and make sure that you're always comparing prices and staying competitive. Remember that for gas stations, it's about volume over margin. You don't get a lot of margin, but you can do millions of dollars every single year in volume. And while the margins are slim, one way to grow in the gas station business is by owning multiple gas stations. The more gas stations you own, you can literally copy and paste the business model. Remember, all the work you've done to optimize the company and make it that much more profitable can then be 5 or 10x multiplied by owning multiple locations. You can also be able to hire one general manager to look over all locations, and then you start to get economies of scale. All right, now I'm gonna give you a list of a few of the KPIs that you're gonna wanna track for a gas station. First, you're gonna wanna track the average sales volume. How many gallons of gas did you sell every single month? Next, you're gonna wanna track the average customer transaction order. This is pretty much what's the average ticket, or how much does the average customer spend when they visit your location. Next is gonna be the customer count. How many customers came in and out of your doors over the month? Then of course, I'm gonna wanna track the in-store sales, the convenience store profit margins, and the profit margins on the gas. Next, I want to keep track of the inventory turnover rate. How often does the inventory move in and out of the shop? After that, I like to look at the employee profitability rate. How much revenue does each employee bring in per month and why? And then lastly, I'd like to look at the customer satisfaction score. And of course, being able to be there on the front lines talking to as many customers as possible gives you some of the best data and feedback for your location. So one of the issues with gas stations and low-wage jobs in general is that you can never stop hiring. So what I would recommend is that you are consistently nonstop having a hiring manager on your team who's always hiring and firing new employees. The reason for this is because minimum wage employees are not meant to stay minimum wage. So just because they're there for a while doesn't mean they're gonna stay for a long time. Your best bet is to continuously hire new talent so you're never caught in a position where there's nobody to show up to work. When I was young, my parents had a smoothie shop, and I was able to see firsthand where working for minimum wage means that employee turnover is gonna be very, very high. We were pretty much swapping out employees every 4 to 6 months. But luckily from that experience, I learned a few things. One was, of course, you wanna keep hiring as many employees as possible, but also you wanna keep shifts to a minimum in staff. You'll see that it's better to overpay for one employee who can cover the work of 2 people than it is to have 2 or 3 employees on the shift. So think about it like this. Let's say you pay employee A 1.5 times the annual salary of everyone else. So employee A is overpaid, but employee A has the production of employee B and C. That means, to keep numbers simple, if you paid employee A $15 an hour, but you paid employee B and C $10 an hour. By you overpaying for employee A, you're able to get the same production value as having employee B and C on shift. So you might as well overpay for employee A. He's more likely to stay because you're paying him more than minimum wage, and you only have to keep one person on shift, and you have less of a headcount to worry about. The next thing I'd want to do for the gas station is implement a loyalty program. The reason for this is because in the beginning, while you won't see quick results, over time, you'll start to have customers who go out of their way to drive to your specific gas station because they know that they're going to be receiving points. I would also train all of my employees on how to upsell. Anytime they come in for gas and they decide to pay inside, I would always have them upsell, would you like to buy a drink for that? Or would you like to buy some gum with that? The reason why is because these little questions are hard for customers to a lot of times say no. And by adding just a small 1% margin to every sale, by the end of the year, you'll have a huge opportunity for growth. Remember, the dumbest thing you can do is make it hard for customers to give you money. Find out all the ways that customers like to pay and make sure you implement all of those systems within your company. That means pay by card, pay by phone, pay by cash, and never pay by check. Paying by check at a gas station is the easiest way to get scammed. And now going back a little bit to the marketing is that what I would like to see is a good online presence. Yes, you need the reviews, but you also need a clean website, which allows those few customers who look you up for different things to have easy access to information about your place. What I notice about a lot of these brick and mortar locations is that the best way to drive a lot more traffic to your location is going to be through joining things like the Rotary Club and building community ties. By joining groups of other business owners, these other business owners will be advocates for you and go out and tell other people about your business. They'll also drive more customers to come by and check out your location. From my own research, I've noticed that if you go to one of these meetings like the Rotary Club or the Chamber of Commerce at least once a month, you'll see an increase of 1 or 2 new customers every single month. If you do this enough times, before long, you'll have hundreds of customers every year who come into your shop just from your outbound marketing. Next, what I like to do is manage the suppliers to make sure I'm negotiating to keep the cost of goods sold low. That means all the products in the convenience store can be negotiated. Make sure you spend the time building the relationship with the suppliers to get the lowest price. One of the key things I learned about business is that having a great bookkeeper is paramount. What I found is that instead of having a bookkeeper, these are most likely low-level, low-wage paid employees. The better opportunity is actually for you to go out there and find a fractional CFO. That's a CFO who works for you part-time. They have the skill set of someone who gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, but you only pay them for the hours where you absolutely need them. So for me personally, I have my CFO doing my books and we meet once a week. I pay about $500 every month for this service, which is just a fraction of the cost of having a full-time CFO, but hundreds of times better than having a bookkeeper. All right, so now I'm gonna be breaking down the Ray Money Score for this business. Obviously, it's my opinion, but my opinion is the best opinion. All right, so there's 6 categories that I absolutely need to look at when evaluating a business. Each of these categories will get a score between 1 and 10, with 10 being the absolute best opportunity. And so the closer the business gets to a 60 score, the greater the opportunity. All right, so category 1 is gonna be risk. I gave this business a 4. The reason for that is because it's at the end of its stability curve. What that means is every industry is on a growth curve. Some industries are growing while others are dying. I think gas stations are right at the end of their stability. While gas is necessary, more and more electric vehicles are hitting the road. So I think as time goes on, the industry will start to decline. But there's still a lot of roadway before that happens, so that's why it's got a score of 4. The next category is gonna be competition. I gave this business another 4 because this is a very common business. After that, I like to look at scalability. I gave this business a 3. The reason why is because a gas station can only be citywide. No one is gonna drive from New York to LA just to get their gas at your location. After that, I like to look at the complexity of the business. I give this business a 9 out of 10 because it's very simple to understand. You sell gas with a slight markup and you sell snacks to the convenience store for a different markup. It doesn't take a long time to train employees how to scan the items in the convenience store and collect customer cash. After that, I like to look at the margins. I gave this business a 2 out of 10 for margins. The reason why is because you usually get below 10% profit margin on every dollar earned in revenue. And the last category, which is in many ways the most important, is gonna be price. While the example I did give you in the beginning was only a 2.3x, most likely the reason for that was because there's some sort of issue with the company. As in the company's either declining or there's some other problem, which you'll find out in the financials after you dig deeper. Most gas stations trade for above 6x, and so that's why I give this business a 1. So the total Ray Money Score is gonna be a 23 out of 60. So overall, I would not invest in this business. I just think that gas stations are overrated, overhyped, and there's a lot of people looking at them who think that they can buy this easy business and generate passive income. But like I mentioned in the video, you're gonna have a lot of issues with finding good talent to hire. You're always gonna be having employee turnover. There's a huge amount of theft within the industry. You're gonna lose a lot of revenue trying to recoup all of those lost stolen items. And again, I also like to look at the risk of the business. I spent years studying people like Warren Buffett, and anyone who listens to Buffett knows you wanna buy business with minimal risk. So what is risk really? It's owning businesses and opportunities that are gonna last the rest of your lifetime and your child's lifetime. So since gas stations only have a few decades left before they start to decline, I think this business opportunity is pretty poor. However, again, I'm the type of person who can find opportunities where nobody else is looking. While I've already got my first deal and I'm on to bigger opportunities, for this being a first company, it could make sense for you. If you have any questions about an opportunity like this, DM me and let's talk about it. The most important thing you can do is go from 0 to 1. Buying your first company is the hardest. After you get your first company, the world opens up to you and you can buy as many businesses as you like. But the first thing you gotta do is buy number 1. After that, your whole life will change. If you're trying to find out how to buy a business from A to Z and you're looking for a community of like-minded individuals, then check out the link in the description below. It took me years to get this information and I've compiled it all into one place for quick and easy access for anyone who watches my content. And if you wanna see how I bought my first business and the full breakdown on that, click the video here.